BOTV Go app එක දැන්ම දාගන්න. BOTV Go SLT BOTV TV බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
AdaDerana 24, sponsored by
Those who can see beyond tomorrow use BioClean.
Tonight, ever-widening net. A close family member of the Easter bombing chief suspect arrested.
The elder sister of the suicide cadre Mohammed Saharan was arrested. Furthermore, 2 million rupees of cash was recovered from the above-mentioned female suspect.
Unheeded warnings. The Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat claims they warned authorities of Zaharan Hashim's radical views.
Publicly they are speaking in the Facebook about the jihadism. The government did not block them. That is the problem.
More caution urged. The Archbishop of Colombo makes a U-turn on Sunday Mass resumption plans. National Security, UK Defence Secretary sacked over information leak. All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Thursday, the 2nd of May 2019.
අයඩෙක්ස් ඇතුළත ඉදිමීම සමනය කරන අතර විනාඩි 5කින් ක්‍රියා කිරීම ආරම්භයි. අයඩෙක්ස් දිවියට නව දිරයක්. අයඩෙක්ස් වෙතින් එසේ කැක්කුමට විශේෂඥ අයඩෙක්ස් හෙඩ් ෆාස්ට් ඉක්මන් සහනය අදම අත්විඳින්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Well, good evening and a warm welcome. As security forces continued search operations for a 12th consecutive day today in the wake of the Easter Sunday attacks, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit, requested all private Catholic schools in the Western Province not to reopen for the second term next week as scheduled. The decision was announced after Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam stated this morning that Catholic priests are allowed to make a decision on reopening schools. Now, the Archbishop of Colombo also requested churches across the country not to conduct masses next Sunday for a second consecutive weekend owing to security uncertainty in Sri Lanka. Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam, however, assured that security will be tightened at schools across the island when the new term commences on Monday, with the security forces also being of the view that school security should be scaled up. At least one police officer will be assigned to each school premises for the purpose.
Following 72 hours of interrogation, Colombo District Organizer for National Tawhid Jamaat, Mohammed Farooq Mohammed Fawaz, was remanded until the 7th of May after he was produced before the Colombo Additional Magistrates Court today. A security officer of the Eastern Province Governor MLAM Hizbullah, who was arrested recently on suspicion of keeping official seals of 5 high-ranking officials, including that of a former minister, was released on a surety of 100,000 rupees today. Meanwhile, a tip-off led to the arrest of 2 persons in Anuradhapura today after 36 bundles of white-coloured outfits were found in their van which travelled from Tiharia. Investigations are launched to find out whether these outfits are similar to the ones found in Saindamarudu. 2 Pakistani nationals and 1 local were arrested during joint search operations by the police and army in Mount Lavinia after they were not able to confirm their identities. In the meantime, the police special task force also arrested 2 other suspects at a beauty parlour in Ratmalana after 14 walkie-talkies, 8 CDs and several electric circuits were discovered within the premises. Fathers, sisters and another relative of Mohammed Riaz, who was recently arrested over his membership of National Tawhid Jamaat, was also apprehended on suspicion of providing protection for Riaz in Kahatagastigilia. An introductory book of the ISIS was also found in their house. An Iraqi national, meanwhile, was arrested for violating visa conditions in Matale following a tip-off. The police in the meantime arrested a person named Mohammed Imran in Kahatovita with a drone camera, a remote control, camera equipment, a laptop camera and several CDs in his possession. AdaDerana reporter on the ground said that these CDs contained seminars by Zahran Hashim and photos of several suicide bombers. Police also apprehended another from the area of Kovilkulama of Vaunia who had one army uniform, a pair of army boots, rolls of fuse wire and other suspicious items. A chickpea vendor was also arrested today at the premises of the Juma Mosque in Anuradhapura after an army colour band and a pair of army socks were found from his cart. Documents written in Tamil on US military training programs and firearms were found during a search operation from his room. In the meantime, 2 anti-personnel mines were defused by the army today near a water filtration system in the Mahavelipanna Muslim village in Valikanda. 3 suspects were arrested from Bulat Kohupitiya in Yatiyantota after 2 sets of landmine detection equipment were found in their possession. Meanwhile, 2 persons were arrested from the area of Vellambade in Udunuvara after anti-personnel mines and 50 live ammunition were found at a house under construction near the mosque in Vatadeniya. Following 3 days of search operations in the areas of Jamalia and Manko in Trincomalee, 10 swords, 6 knives manufactured locally and abroad, a T-56 firearm magazine, 3 shells and a pair of binoculars were found by the police. 4 suspects were taken into custody during these operations. The army meanwhile destroyed a bundle of men's and women's garments today in Galkiriyagama. A search operation led to the discovery of 2 large knives locally known as Mannaya near a mosque in the area of Vettumakada. 2 suspects meanwhile were arrested in Valipitiya with 20 fake identity cards and 1 motorcycle. A letter with extremist ideologies, a bundle of CDs and several photos of women wearing the burqa were found during a search operation in Juma Mosque in Monaragama. The chief cleric and an assistant cleric of the mosque were taken into custody for interrogation. A driver of a truck which was painted to mimic an army vehicle was also taken into custody near the mosque. Meanwhile, 16 persons were arrested in Enderamulla today during a joint operation by the police, Air Force and the Special Task Force. 10 laptops, 153 mobile phones, 34 passports as well as many swords and knives were found during this operation. Inspection of a suspicious parcel at Mandei Junction in Mana by police meanwhile yielded a firearm hidden inside a tin filled with grease. During search operations at a house near the Maliyadeva College in Kurunagala, a scope of sniper rifle, several swords and knives locally known as Mannaya, 16 Arabic voice recordings as well as many suspicious documents were found. The tenant of the house was arrested on suspicion.
And a foreign journalist was apprehended in Katana today for attempting to forcibly enter a school there. Following the arrest, Sadiki Ahmed Danish, a journalist for Reuters, was produced before the Negombo magistrate. Accordingly, he was remanded until the 15th of May. The elder sister of the chief suspect in the Easter Sunday bombings is in police custody. Police media spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara made the revelation today as he addressed a media briefing at the Ministry of Defence. He added that the funerals of 10 terrorists who perished in 3 explosions as well as in the shootout with security forces were also conducted today, but without religious rites.
Dead bodies of 10 terrorists of Kalmunai Saindamardu explosion were buried by police this afternoon, but those bodies were buried without religious rituals upon the instructions given by relevant religious leaders of the area. On the intervention of police, dead bodies of 6 children of Saindamardu explosion were buried after the religious rituals this evening. Search operations are being continued island-wide, and the 3 forces have been fully empowered to carry out search operations. And yesterday the elder sister, namely Muhammadu Qasim Matatiya of the suicide cadre Muhammad Saharan, was arrested by Batticaloa police. Furthermore, 2 million rupees of cash which is suspected to be given by the suicide cadre Muhammad Saharan was recovered from the above mentioned female suspect.
Meanwhile, Kathankudi police also recovered a suicide kit at the residence of Mohammed Rilwan, who is the brother of Zahran Hashim. Police also arrested the parents and the wife of Mohammed Rilwan. Zahran's father-in-law Mohammed Kader spoke to AdaDerana on his son-in-law's behavior.
Zahran is talented in conducting lectures. He didn't reside here, he came and visited us. However, there was an issue at the Kathankudi mosque and he was in hiding. Police arrested his father and brother. Then I told him to surrender to police. He was not happy with my advice and asked me to mind my own business. Then we had to look after the daughter and her child. We were also surprised how this happened.
Well, the Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat questions the government as to why it didn't take action against Zahran Hashim, the chief suspect, who led the Easter Sunday bombings, and his old acquaintance Naufar Malawi, who publicly spoke about jihadism through Facebook for several years. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, Secretary of the Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat Abdul Razik said that the government was even provided with videos of their hate speech, but action was not forthcoming.
Zahran Hashim was studying in Kurunagala, Uliyapiti area in an Arabic school. After that, he formed an organization called Darul Adar in 2007-8 period. He was working with another scholar, Naufar Maulavi, who is the second suspect of the second attack. The second attack should be occurred in High Commission of India. Naufar Maulavi and Zahran are close friends. They had the Darul Adar organization. In 2012, between them, they had some religious conflicts. After that, Zahran established the movement called National Tawhid Jamaat. And the Naufar Maulavi was isolated and his organization also was isolated. After the vanished of the Zahran, they were working together. We got to know this from their news of the Facebook. Naufar Maulavi's, Zahran Hashim's and Zaini's Facebook was deactivated by this government after this attack. But earlier, until August of 2018, Naufar Maulavi also publicly they are speaking in the Facebook about the jihadism. The government did not block them. That is the problem. But in 2017, there was an attack with the Abdur Rauf group. At that time, Zahran was vanished. So I think he had some effects in that incident, in Kathankudi incident, Teldani incident. When the incident was finished, when the situation was calm, Zahran rose up and he was telling, we should kill non-Muslims. In Facebook, publicly. At that time also, we gave the video to the Terrorism Investigation Division. But the intelligence unit and our defense sector was failed to catch him until this blast happened.
Well, the British media reported that UK's intelligence agency MI5 is examining plans by the Islamic State to carry out a new wave of attacks in Britain and Europe using genocide cells made up of sleep operatives. Now, the reports come amid findings that one of the suicide bombers of the Easter Sunday attacks here in Sri Lanka was mentored by infamous and atrocious jihadi John.
British media report that UK's intelligence chiefs believe Abdul Latif Jamil Mohammed, who carried out the attack in Tropical Inn Rest House in Dehiwala, was lured by British nationals to the former caliphate of the ISIS in Syria for terror training. Later, the UK-educated bomber had been sent back to Sri Lanka to carry out the attacks that killed 253 people, including 8 British nationals. Following the Easter Sunday bombings, British police are urging mosques and churches in the UK to undergo counter-terrorism training and fears of further terror and far-right revenge attacks. While reporting on documents recovered by British intelligence on a Syrian battlefield, outlined the creation of crocodile cells. The publications claim that intelligence officials are virtually certain that Latif was one of the at least 2 members of the Sri Lanka bombing cell who travelled to the Middle East to join ISIS. The former de facto capital, Raqqa, he is believed to have met the London-born ISIS killer known as Jihadi John, who was filmed beheading Western hostages in Syria. He had been trained through communication online and also when he travelled to Syria. It's further claimed that Latif had possible links to an extremist group launched in Britain by notorious hate preacher Hizb ut-Tahrir. British media say that the group, which calls for the foundation of an Islamic caliphate, had a strong presence on the Kingston campus when Latif was in the UK.
United Nations Under-Secretary General for Alliance of Civilizations Miguel Moritano today called on Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and expressed his condolences over the Easter Sunday attacks. The visiting Under-Secretary pledged the UN's support to the government of Sri Lanka during his meeting with the Premier.
United Nations Under-Secretary General for Alliance of Civilizations Miguel Angel Moritano met with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today and expressed his condolences over the Easter bombings in Sri Lanka. He added that his main objective to visit Sri Lanka was to reassure that the UN is in support of the government during this crucial time. Meanwhile, during a media briefing today, spokesperson for the President of the 73rd session of the General Assembly, Monica Graylie, also touched on the Easter attacks that took place in Sri Lanka.
On Friday, 3rd May, the General Assembly, in cooperation with the Mission of Sri Lanka, will host a commemorative event for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka on 21st April. In a letter, the GA President, Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa, informed that the event will take place from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the General Assembly Hall. Ms. Espinosa invited chairs of regional groups in the United Nations, member states, and observers to deliver statements expressing their condolences to the people of Sri Lanka, as well as offering reflections on strengthening their resolve and cooperation to fight terrorism and prevent violent extremism.
Now, the British High Commissioner in Sri Lanka emphasizes its unreserved commitment to the fight against terrorism in Sri Lanka. A special statement was issued following reports in several newspapers yesterday which suggested that Archbishop of Colombo, Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, might have questioned the UK's commitment to the fight against terrorism.
The special statement by the British High Commission in Sri Lanka reiterated UK government's determination to fight the scourge of terrorism on the United Kingdom's own soil and to help others to fight it on theirs. It also emphasized that the international community must remain firm in its determination to counter and defeat poisonous ideologies that lie behind terrorist attacks around the world. It highlighted statements of solidarity by British royal family members as well as British Foreign Secretary last week. During a telephone conversation with her Sri Lankan counterpart last week, British Prime Minister Theresa May had reconfirmed the UK's readiness to support Sri Lanka in the fight to counter terrorism and tackle extremist ideologies. A Metropolitan Police team and British counter-terrorism experts have also been in Sri Lanka since soon after the attacks and are working very closely with the Sri Lankan authorities and other international partners.
Well, what measures should Sri Lanka take in order to combat the aftermath of these attacks? We'll bring you details of a report compiled by retired security forces after this short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
Welcome back. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa highlights that reform and de-radicalisation as important elements the government must focus on following a crisis such as the Easter Sunday bombings. He also emphasised that legal impunity be ensured for intelligence and security officials as it is of paramount importance during such situation.
A report titled The Devastating Easter Bombings in Sri Lanka, Response from Retired Senior Security Officials was compiled by retired senior security officials with their findings on the Easter Sunday attacks. The report was handed over to opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa at his residence in Vijayarama this evening.
We must admire your efforts in compiling this very important report, although you're retired, and this will be very useful when taking necessary action.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa meanwhile highlighted some of the key areas that are mentioned in the report.
We have reminded the army as to what action they must take during such a situation. We, however, highlighted that there should be legal immunity for intelligence and security officials to act upon their directives during this sort of a crisis. Another important element is taking action to reform and de-radicalize recognized persons. The army will be able to implement these actions if they are given necessary power.
TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumantharan is intent on moving ahead with his criticism of the army's presence in the north despite a terrorist situation prevailing in the country. Speaking at an event in Jaffna today, Sumantharan questioned the wisdom behind the deployment of the army in the north, given the fact the April 21st attacks happened in the western and eastern provinces. Sumantharan's comments come in the wake of his fellow TNA parliamentarian Bawai Senadiraja saying yesterday that they're now relying on the very army that they wanted to get rid of.
நான் பாராளுமன்றத்திலே சில நாட்களின் பின்னராக பேசுகிற போது
When I addressed Parliament a few days ago, I called for an investigation into the affiliations between the National Tawheed Jamaat and the former officials of the Defence Ministry. We received information of an attempt by some in military intelligence attempting to create fear by saying that the LTTE is raising its head once more. In order to give life to those false claims, they carried out attacks at several places in the country. These attacks have been orchestrated in such a way that people crave the arrival of former Defence Secretary, who is hailed as the person who defeated the LTTE. Our stance is that the army should move out of the north. Our problem is with the fact more than adequate military forces being deployed in the north. We have never asked for all the army personnel to leave the north. The attacks took place in the western and eastern provinces, and what is the use of deploying the army in the north? We are also against members of the army who are still occupying land which belong to the people. Wherever we go, be it schools, be it public places or even other institutions, all of them request protection. We have now come to a position where we have to request the security of the very army we wanted to be done away with.
Minister of Megapolis and Western Development Patle Champika Ranawaka believes that existing composition of the Security Council should be changed. Addressing media in Colombo today, the minister said that even the opposition leader should be a part of the Security Council. He went on to say that existing laws are adequate to take action against anyone contradicting the comments of the Prime Minister.
There should be a change in the existing Security Council, and the President, the Prime Minister and the opposition leader must all be included in it. Moreover, intelligence services must be unified. We are grateful for establishing a centre in the Western Province for ongoing operations, and we believe similar should be established in all provinces. More than 800 foreign teachers are working in Islamic teaching centres, but no one knows what they teach. We don't know what ideologies are promoted in Islamic universities. We requested the government to probe whether these teachers are in Sri Lanka on working visa or travel visa. These foreign teachers must be deported from the country. There are a number of educated Muslim elite in the country who have ample knowledge about the Quran. National Tawheed Jamaat got more support from Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Therefore, it is a must that we exile these foreign teachers to ensure peace in the country. We will not let any leader avoid responsibility over this incident. If there are such leaders, they should go home. And if they don't, we will make them do so. There are ample laws. No one should complain about the mistakes and that certain officials didn't fulfill their responsibilities. They are politically motivated, and that's why they blow these issues out of proportion. Necessary powers are provided through the Prevention of Terrorism Act and the Emergency Law.
A Dubai court today postponed its verdict on whether to deport notorious drug kingpin Markandare Madhush to Sri Lanka. The court was expected to deliver its verdict today on the appeal filed on behalf of Markandare Madhush seeking the prevention of his deportation. However, when the case was taken up, the court decided to postpone the decision until the 9th of this month. In his appeal, Madhush claimed to have a threat to his life in Sri Lanka and to hold halt his repatriation on those grounds. Madhush and 30 other Sri Lankans were arrested on the 5th of February during a raid on a drugs-filled party at a hotel in Dubai. With the exception of Madhush, Dubai police have deported all suspects involved in the incident to Sri Lanka, with Sri Lankan police launching investigations on most of them. Also in other local news, Minister Mangala Samaravira addressed the SAARC Finance Ministers meeting held on the sidelines of the 52nd annual meeting of Asian Development Bank in Nadi, Fiji. The Ministry of Finance issued a media communique confirming the ministers' participation in the meeting, adding that Minister Samaravira also addressed the gathering. It quoted the minister as saying that the threat of terrorism is one of the SAARC countries is no doubt a threat to the entire region, and it is therefore in the interest of all to collaborate and coordinate efforts and to take measures in order to eradicate global terrorism. The minister has also expressed confidence that if all nations work together, the bloc could bring peace, stability and prosperity to the entire SAARC region. Well, in your business news, the all share price index ended 0.36% lower today at 5,458.7, which hit its lowest close on the 23rd of April. The market turnover was 148.6 million rupees, which is lower than this year's daily average of 586.2 million rupees. Foreign investors bought a net 9.4 million rupees worth of shares today, but there have been net sellers of 4.4 billion rupees worth of equities so far this year. The Asian Development Bank assures that helping Sri Lanka's private sector is a definite focus and target area of the bank. Speaking at a media briefing held in the sidelines of the 52nd annual meeting of the ADB Board of Governors meeting, which got underway yesterday, its Director General of Private Sector Operations, Michael Barrow, has said that microfinance and health sector development top their agenda for Sri Lanka.
52nd annual meeting of the ADB Board of Governors is currently underway in Derana, Fiji, and a Sri Lankan delegation led by Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira also participated in the event. Media reports say that the Director General of Private Sector Operations of ADB, Michael Barrow, has said that helping Sri Lanka's private sector is their definite focus and target area. According to reports, Barrow has said that the ADB just finished disbursing the $100 million financial intermediation loan initiated in 2016 and $25 million, the first tranche of the $75 million additional finance of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Financial Intermediation Loan Project introduced to strengthen MSMEs in Sri Lanka in 2018. He has further said that ADB's top in the agenda for Sri Lanka was microfinance and health sector development and would support the health company Diasis India's expansion into Sri Lanka. He's quoted saying that the ADB has a lot of capacity for Sri Lanka and it has not done much and would wish to do more to develop many sectors in the country. With regards to supporting the development of the expressway in Sri Lanka, Barrow is reported to have said that if a proposal was submitted in a form of a PPP, the ADB would always be willing to assist Sri Lanka. However, no such proposal had been submitted so far.
Well, we take a short commercial break now. Do stay with First at 9 for the very latest in sports and international news.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
Welcome back. In your top international news, sacked UK Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson has strenuously denied the leaked information from the National Security Council as calls are being made for a policy or rather police inquiry. He was sacked for allegedly disclosing plans to allow Chinese telecoms giant Huawei to help build the UK's 5G network. Opposition MPs said there should be an investigation into whether the official Secrets Act had been breached.
British Prime Minister Theresa May fired her Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson yesterday, saying an investigation suggested he was to blame for leaking discussions about Chinese telecoms company Huawei from her National Security Council. Last week it emerged that Britain would allow Huawei a restricted role in building parts of its 5G network, seeking a middle way in a bitter dispute between the United States and China over the next generation of communications technology. The NSC is a forum in which senior cabinet ministers discuss top-secret national security information, and the leak sparked anger in Parliament. May wrote to Williamson that an investigation into the leaks had provided, quote, compelling evidence suggesting his responsibility for the unauthorized disclosure, unquote. Williamson had repeatedly denied that he was responsible for the leak. May appointed International Development Minister Penny Mordaunt to succeed Williamson as Defence Secretary and named Prisons Minister Rory Stewart to Mordaunt's former role.
The former Sri Lankan captain and cricketing great Kumar Sangakkara achieved yet another milestone as he was appointed the first ever non-British resident president of the prestigious Marylebone Cricket Club, known as the guardian of the laws of the game. Sangakkara will begin his one-year tenure in October, having been nominated by the incumbent president of the MCC, Anthony Refford, at the MCC annual general meeting at Lord's yesterday.
Former Sri Lanka wicketkeeper batsman Kumar Sangakkara is revered for his exceptional performances and gentlemanly conduct both on and off the field. The former talisman has 12,400 runs against his name in Test cricket, amassed across 134 matches. He also appears twice on the honours board at Lord's, the home of cricket. The cricketing legend scored 147 in the drawn test against England in 2014 and 112 in their ODI victory on the same tour. It earned him one of the inaugural placings on the new limited over boards unveiled earlier this year. In 2012, he was awarded honorary life membership of the Marylebone Cricket Club, and in the same year he joined MCC's World Cricket Committee and remains an active member. Today, the former Sri Lankan international has become the first non-British president of the Marylebone Cricket Club, starting from the 1st of October for a time period of 1 year. MCC, known as the guardian of the laws of the game, was founded in 1787 and has been based at Lord's, which it owns since 1814. Adding a word on the appointment, the outgoing president of the Marylebone Cricket Club, Anthony Refford, described the Sri Lankan cricketing icon as an outstanding individual both on and off the field, adding that he will make a huge contribution to the club. Refford went on to say that Sangakkara will also have a significant role to play as president-designate in an year of both World Cup and Ashes.
During my tenure, I think the focus will continue to be on the development of Lord's as the premier venue in world cricket. The profile of the MCC and its voice should have global reach and global impact as it speaks on issues that are central to the development and the sustenance of our game. To me personally, some of the most significant moments in my cricketing career have been closely connected to Lord's. The MCC, to me, simply put, is the greatest cricket club in the world. I would like to contribute towards the MCC becoming a global voice of authority on cricket, that it becomes proactive, anticipating change, and is courageous and bold in partnering innovation and ensuring that it plays its part in the direction of the game in its future.
And that's all on First at 9 for tonight. For the very latest, do join us on our social media platform, YouTube and Facebook, as well as our website, www.AdaDerana.lk, for the very latest. I'm Indivari Amuath.